Duane, can't hear you. Still cannot hear you. No. Nothing. I guess I will be doing the intro. Welcome to Two Goalies, One Mic. I am Connor alongside Duane. Episode 187 of Two Goalies, One Mic. Shout out. I don't know the sponsor line, but shout out Fatty Beer. You can go to any one of however many Western New York locations they have. I think it's over 10. Get yourself a variety of different types of beer. They have a lot. And it's a great place to hang out, meet up with friends, host an event, do anything you need. Also, shout out to Buffalo Go Company. They have a lot of really cool designs, cool hats, Buffalo-themed apparel, really cool stuff that you can drown out your sorrows for both the Sabres and the Bills following the Bills' horrible draft class. I'm just kidding. I thought they did a pretty good job. I would have liked a receiver, but I've really enjoyed the the discourse the past couple of days after Brandon Beane's WGR appearance. But this is a hockey show, and given that the Sabres aren't playing hockey, that has us here to discuss why are they not playing hockey. And given that they're not playing hockey, why are the people that were in charge that led them to not play hockey, why do those people still have jobs? That's what we will be discussing today on episode 187. As soon as Duane it comes back, we can have a discourse amongst the two of us. But if it's just me for now, that's the biggest question of the hour. Oh, there's Duane.
Can you hear me now?
I got you. Yeah,
oh,
there you are.
Holy crap! Wow,
I got through the intro. I think I did a really good job.
You think you did a really good job? I can't wait to listen back. I can listen to it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did.
We're actually not even streaming from because the technical difficulties took forward, and I couldn't even get us streaming on the actual Two Goalies, One Mic page. So I'm going to get that straight away right now. But the first topic, obviously, to lead things off, as mentioned in our teaser earlier, is we were told that Kevyn and Terry were going to be meeting about his job with the team, how he's done, the future of the coaching staff, etc. this past Friday. Well, we still haven't heard anything. It is now Tuesday, and I've also heard different stories where the meeting actually already took place on Sunday. So conflicting stories, initially reported to me Friday, then according to other Sabres content creators, it happened this past Sunday. It's now Tuesday. How are you feeling about that, Connor? Because it just feels like disorganization. It kind of gives me the vibes of like the Botterill, Tim Murray days, just not any communication or lack thereof. And Terry just having no clue what he wants to do going into this offseason.
It gives me the feeling that nothing's going to happen. And it gives me the feeling that Kevyn Adams is going to keep his job. Gives me the feeling that the only thing that's going to happen is they're going to replace Marty Wilford and Matt Ellis, and they're going to keep Seth Appert. He's going to continue to run the power play. That was one of the worst in the league this year. Lindy is probably not going to have much control over who he brings in to replace those two guys. Maybe he will this time. That would be nice. I know Mike Bales is considered a pretty good goalie coach, but the goalies have regressed in the past few years. So it's a results-based business, and your goalies aren't performing. That at least it has to be a little bit on you. And then there's Kevyn Adams. I think we all know the story at this point that back in 2020, Terry, the last time he spoke to the media about the Sabres, he said that they wanted to be economic and efficient, and he handpicked a GM that would accomplish that goal for him. And in the 5 or 6 years since, they haven't spent to the cap, which has been to Terry's liking because he needs to pay $650, likely more, $1 million for a new football stadium for the Bills, and therefore doesn't care about spending to the cap for the Sabres or paying guys that don't work for the team anymore. So he's being economic and efficient for that team. And yeah, nothing's going to change. So that's where we are. Can't hear you again.
How about now? Are we good?
We're good. Your mic was muted.
I don't know what keeps happening with my laptop today. Sorry, everybody. This is inexcusable and unprofessional of me to not have this all straightened away. Anyways, yeah, listen. The staff has to be gone, right?
Well, Apper's going to stay.
Well, that's what I mean. I was going to say, like, the only holdover will be Seth Apper. We've had this conversation before. But, I mean, I feel like that should be a layup decision. Like, why aren't you – you see, like, coaches starting to get fired. Saw Mike Sullivan – we'll talk about that. Mike Sullivan, getting the axe today. Like,
Rick Tocchet today as well.
Tocchet, yeah. They do not expect to bring back Rick Tocchet. Like, don't you want to give – not that those guys would agree to come be an assistant coach to Lindy Ruff, but, like – this tells you one or two. This could be an inference. Maybe there's bigger things planned. Remember, Elliot Friedman kind of said that he feels there's going to be a lot of movement in and around Adams, and maybe even he didn't say it could be a title change for Adams. Maybe I've always said that if they do go if they ever were to go the president of hockey operations route, I think Kevyn would be the only guy that Terry would trust to do it. And personally, I'm okay with that as long as he has hands off with the team itself, the roster. And then bringing in somebody more experienced. We've talked about in the past. Could Lindy Ruff be in line to be a GM someday for this team? I don't know. Could that happen? I mean, I don't know.
He'd be a first-time GM.
It'd be a first-time GM, exactly. I mean, do you see one of these former head coaches coming? You see Lou Lamoriello got fired. I think overwhelmingly fans have said they don't want Lou Lamoriello as the next GM of the coach at 82 years old. But there's just like a lot. There's a lot to speculate about why it's taking them so long to make the decisions that should be easy. Maybe there's more going on there than we think. Maybe there's bigger moves in the background in terms of the front office that could be happening. Because in my opinion, like, these are easy decisions to make, and you should give Lindy Ruff as much time as you possibly can to build a staff.
Yeah, I would agree, but in that economic and efficient mindset that this organization has clearly taken for the past 5 years, that wouldn't align with that. Paying guys, I mean, I don't know if they're at the end of their deals or whatnot, and who knows how much Marty Wilford and Matt Ellis are making. It can't be that much. They signed Apper to a multi-year deal. They signed Lindy Ruff to a multi-year deal. I think this is the last year of Kevyn Adams' contract. So all three of them are going to be back no matter what. And I'm not saying Lindy was the issue, because clearly I don't think anybody thinks that he was the main problem this year. The problems in this organization have existed way before he came back around for the second time. But the lack of action leads me to believe that they're just going to run it back.
That was my second scenario, is like, are they actually going to run this shit back again?
No, it really does feel that way. Like, I saw a poll on Twitter today that put out a full lineup of guys that are signed through next season. Obviously, I saw your quote tweet. Yeah, there needs to be some RFA tendering involved, but theoretically that could be a lineup. And it was something along the lines. I'll just read it out. But it was Norris centering Peterka and Tage, Kulik centering Tuck and Benson, McLeod centering Zucker and Quinn, Krebs centering Greenway and Mallinston, Dahlin and Byram, Power, Bernard Docker, Samuelson, Clifton, UPL, Levi. And the poll from by Jerry Sullivan, really good, a parody account of our good friend Jerry Sullivan. The poll was playoff team, not a playoff team, see results. Almost 500 votes at the moment. 86%, thankfully, said not a playoff team.
I was one of them. Yeah.
Without a shred of a doubt, that's not a playoff team. 9% did. I think those 9% are just trolling. I really do believe that. And then the 5% see results probably just wanted to obviously see what people said without expressing their opinion.
Yeah.
But if they theoretically do run that back, I think that team has less points than this 2024-2025 team.
That tells me they're trying to tank for McKenna.
Yeah, honestly, that's what it would be. That's what it would be. No, I don't think that will be the roster opening night.
No,
it can't be. And that
goes,
and I mean that goes along with like not being able to get deals with all the RFAs, trades, everything. I don't think Kevyn is gonna actually, if he does keep his job, which it looks like he will, I don't think he's just gonna sit and do nothing, because how could he? But given that nothing has transpired in the past few days after this alleged meeting, it makes me worried that they're like, oh, just we had a 13-game winless streak. Otherwise, we would have been right there in it.
Oh, dude.
We would have been right in it. And then it was a down year. You know, the Bruins. Look at the Bruins. So, yeah, I'm worried. I'm really worried. And like Harrington said, I don't think we're going to sign many unrestricted free agents. I don't think this is necessarily an attractive place for guys on a 14-year playoff drought, especially Marner, Mitch, to give up everything that he has in Toronto to sign in Buffalo. Why would he want to do that? So,
I mean, if you're Mitch Marner and you're going to move on from Toronto, if you're
going to be to Buffalo,
huh?
It's not going to be to Buffalo.
But no. What I'm saying is, regardless of where it is, if it's contingent on what happens in these playoffs, is it better if you're a team looking to sign him if he wins a cup, or is it better, say, if they were to blow this 3-1 series lead and losing Game 7?
Yeah, well, I think there's two scenarios where he would want to leave. It's more likely that he would leave, that if they somehow get bounced out of the first round again, or if they win the cup, because that's either jubilation at one end or frustration at the other.
Yeah.
So I think those are the two most likely scenarios. But even if any of those things happen, I think it's less than a 50% chance, all things considered, even that he's a Bills fan, even that he knows the area. I think it's less, even if they offer him $15 million a year, I think there's a less than 50% chance he actually takes the deal and signs with the Sabres. But who knows?
Oh man, I would make him the easy, without hesitation, make Mitch Marner the highest player in history of hockey.
Well, I mean, that's not going to happen
until Matthews is up and until McDavid's up.
Well, Matthews just got his deal redone, and McDavid's going to get his deal redone this summer.
Wait, so, Matthews, when did he get his deal redone?
A couple of years ago. I'm almost.
Well, I know that he's making a lot, like.
I think he makes 11 or 12.
Yeah, but I'm saying make Mitch Marner on this next contract, kind of like how it goes to quarterbacks. You know what I mean? Like, one quarterback signs the biggest deal in NFL history, and then like 3 days later, the next guy does. Like, that's what you should do.
Matthews makes 13.25, and he signed that 2 years ago. So
give Mitch 15.
He signed until 2028. Like that contract set in stone. He's not going to make more than that until 2028.
Give him. This is what I would do if I was Terry Pegula. This is what I would do. I would give him $15 million a year and a 2% ownership stake in the Buffalo Bills. Did you freeze?
No, you froze.
I froze. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. You were frozen. I would give him like a 1 or 2% stake in ownership stake in the Buffalo Bills, or stock options or something.
Or the Sabres.
No, I think he wants the Bills.
Well, regardless, anything that you could provide incentive to for an athlete, like you give them ownership stake in an organization, that would be not only kind of groundbreaking, but it would be something new that you could incentivize, like this guy coming over. Like, hey, when I die and my kids are running the team, you'll at least have some control and some stake in this. Like, as bad and as unattractive as the organization has been for the past 14 years, the value has gone up $500 million. So it's a pretty good investment regardless of the mediocrity.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't know. He's going to be back next year, no matter what. I know that for a fact. That Kevyn Adams,
we all know Adams is coming back.
Will be the GM of this team. And I don't know when the best time. I personally believe to fire your assistant coaches, do it in the middle of the playoffs when no one's paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, I mean, your GM on the other side of the business is kind of in the middle of a thing right now. If you want to take some attention away from that, now's the time to do it. Like,
that's the thing. Like, it would be a move that would be unanimously celebrated. it would be the best PR your organization has had since maybe the beginning of the 2023 season, when you had a sold-out barn against the Rangers, and there was all that hope coming off the end of the 2023 season. If you fire those assistant coaches, that will be the best performing social media post that you've had in 3 years, probably. Yeah. So I don't understand what they're waiting for.
It's a layup, man. It's like, name your favorite basketball player. It's LeBron James dribbling alone. Alone down, nobody around him. And he's just like,
it's not even a layup because you can miss a layup. It's a dunk.
It's a dunk. Yeah, it's a slam dunk. Like, what are we fucking doing here?
I guess we'll see. But
get rid of these guys.
I very much picture us here sitting a week from now, next Tuesday, and nothing's going to happen.
Like, there's no distractions if you're Terry Pegula. Now the draft's over. The NFL draft is over. It's not like you have any obligations this week. Like, get it done and over with.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like his GM is yelling at local radio house, like.
Oh, and we're gonna get into that for a few minutes later too, because I do want to speak on that.
I don't know.
Mike Sullivan. The Rochester Americans up 2-0 in their series against the Syracuse Crunch. Levi with 35 saves in the shutout. I think it was a 4-0 game. I think Rosen had a goal. Kulik had an absolute piss missile on the power play, get to the back of the net. I forget who else scored for Rochester, but I mean, that team is so loaded, Hurls. They are. I genuinely think that they are locked and loaded to win a Calder Trophy this year.
Yeah, I mean, especially considering the additions of Kulik, Rosian, and Ostlund. Effectively, they're 3 best players to come back for the playoff run, added to what they already have, all of the chemistry, all the young prospects. They're as deep as anyone in the league, which would lead you to believe that the NHL franchise would eventually have some success, but apparently that's not correlated. It is in other organizations. I mean, they're very good, and obviously Levi is developing at the right pace. He is consistently showing that this development path for him in the AHL, playing meaningful games in high-pressure situations, is not only good for him, but good for the organization, good for the team. So obviously they're going to keep that going for as long as they possibly can. Hopefully that leads to a Calder Cup. I think them winning the Calder Cup, it is good for the organization. It shows that while the NHL team can't stop stepping on its own feet, at least the prospects are getting a taste of what it's like to win, what it's like to have some success. It is the second best league in the world, in my opinion. I think you can make you can make an argument for the KHL having higher end skill at the top of the league, but top to bottom in terms of the amount of skill across the entire league in each team, each organization, it's the second best league in the world. And that's why it's the feeder to the best league in the world. So I mean, getting some confidence in these guys is while the Sabres are amidst a 14-year playoff drought, it's the best thing that you can do for the younger guys in this organization. So I hope they get it done. They're in the best possible position to get it done. And I mean, once they start, it's hard to watch games, at least for me out here. I don't know. People watch online. Like, how do you watch these games?
It's flowhockey.com. You can stream it there. Producer Steve has an account, so we're able to watch it via his account. And that's where I got a lot of the highlights from.
It's not on TV locally?
No, I mean there might be a way to get it locally, but
should be.
I think just ask Steve. Ask Steve uses.
Yeah, no, I just, at least in terms of like the exposure.
I mean, it'd be nice. It'd be nice. Would be nice for Pegula to figure that out, right? You have a team that's going to make a Calder Cup run here. Find a way to get it broadcast. Maybe
can you imagine like the ratings if it was on TV in Buffalo?
Oh my God.
A lot of
people. It's not just because it's our affiliated team. It's just like there's fans that
have
a lot of stock in certain players, like Levi, Kulik.
I just think like people generally love playoff hockey.
Hockey, absolutely.
No matter what level it is. Like obviously the NHL playoffs always consistently do well in Buffalo. Even if it's just like one of these WKBW, like one of these local networks, like figure out a way to stream an Amherst playoff game in Buffalo. Not stream. Put it on TV in Buffalo on cable, and your ratings will be through the roof. So I don't know. That's not my job. It's above my pay grade, but I think it would be a pretty good idea.
I actually had an opportunity to go to that game, game 2. I just obviously with my situation, my leg, I can't drive right now, and it's an hour and a half drive to get there. I couldn't make the trip, and I was really kicking myself that I should have tried harder. Should have Ubered there. 4-0 win, and a lot of excitement. Obviously, the biggest down point. I'm not sure if I got an update. If somebody in the chat has an update, Komarov got in that fight and took a really nasty punch that knocked him out. Hopefully, he's okay. I haven't heard anything bad, so I think no news is good news. But just an overall, just really exciting game. Just in your face playoff first round hockey. And I to your point earlier, AHL is like the second best league in my opinion, the second best league in the world.
It's only getting better because I think some of these international teams are allowing guys to go to the AHL sooner than they did previously.
Yeah, and I can see after Kevyn Adams did his press conference with Lindy last week, I kind of hopped on here. I was like, I'm gonna do a quick, I'll hang up and listen. I listened to it. I started it halfway in, and then I went back and I re-listened to it, and I got on here. And 5 minutes into the show, I've never done. I legitimately got into a yelling argument with somebody in the chat in the peanut gallery. So his name was Jack, and he kept on telling me that he kept on going on and on about the Sam Reinhart, Devin Levi trade, and how I'm an idiot for being happy with Levi. I should rather want Sam Reinhart. He scored 60 goals. I'm like, yeah, but there's nothing I can do about that.
Also,
so I'm happy about the guys that I got.
He didn't score 60 goals with the Sabres.
No, actually, the most points he ever had, I think, was I don't even know if he ever cracked 60. He might have scored 62, 63
no,
points.
He did. He had a season where he was almost a point per game guy with the Sabres. Let me just check that.
He only scored 25 goals once his entire time here, and the majority of the time he was here, he played with Jack.
True. I mean, best season was 18-19. He had 65 points in 82 games.
Yeah, you know what I mean? He was a good player. He was, but
he's not the guy he's become with the Panthers.
No, and he's playing with the guys like Alexander Barkov. The power play there is it's for a guy like Reinhart, it's a dream.
Can you believe Sam Reinhart's only 29 years old?
I know, crazy. It feels like it's been ages since we drafted him. But regardless, he was convinced that Levi will never be an NHL goalie. It's a terrible trade. Right now it looks terrible, but what if Kulich ends up being a 40-goal guy?
Well, I mean, the Ryan O'Reilly trade looked really terrible. Look what it turned to be.
And then he went on, the AHL, the KHL is better than the AHL. The AHL is a trash league. I'm like, no, it's the second best league in the world, bro. You got guys Russian players that stay over there, and it's they're more likely, if they're not going to go right to the NHL, they'll stay over in the KHL. Yeah, but you get guys that you get drafted out of juniors. If they're not a top 5 pick, where are they playing? If they're not playing in junior, if depending on the age, they're going to the AHL. Well, now it's easier for the AHL. College players, they're going to if they decide to sign their entry level contract, they're going to the AHL. If realistically, if Owen Power wasn't a first overall pick and he decided to sign his entry level deal and not finish college, or I think he did 3 years, not 4, but he would have been playing a lot of guys like that in the top first round of the draft. They end up playing in the AHL. So I don't know. I don't want to. I want to go down
on the Levi discussion. The organization mishandled it from the beginning.
Yes,
it was obviously exciting at the end of 2022, 2023. He used the momentum from the end of his college season to join a team that was already on an upward swing and had momentum themselves. Any goalie, not catch lightning in a bottle, but can use that momentum positively to have a good 10-game stretch. And then the mistake the organization made, and I think the mistake all of us made, was thinking that he could automatically step in based upon that small sample size to be the automatic starter, the every game starter to begin the 2023 season.
Yeah.
That was misguided from both an organizational and fan perspective. Yes, we were all excited, and he was a top prospect, but that was unrealistic because basically nobody does that. Yeah. So the path.
Not even Ryan Miller did that.
Yeah. The path that they're taking now, keeping him in the AHL, exposing him to not only a really good league, but a high volume of games and shots, is the best possible development path that he could take. Ole Kolzig said a couple weeks ago when he came on that he can very much relate Levi's development path to Dustin Wolf's. Dustin Wolf, in my opinion, should be the NHL Rookie of the Year this year in terms of what he did for that Calgary Flames team and how well he played. But he had 165 games in the AHL. He was the best goalie in the AHL for 2 full seasons. And that was after he already spent a half season before that after coming up from the WHL.
Mm-hmm.
Similar frame, similar play style, similar team, honestly, in terms of a team that hasn't had that much success recently. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to look at the model for how to do it, it is exactly that with Dustin Wolf. Everybody has talked about those two guys as similar prospects for years. I personally believe that Devin Levi has traits that could potentially be even better than Dustin Wolf athletically, but you have to wait and see, and you have to prove it at the AHL for 2+ years to be even slightly ready for an NHL workload. So we'll see what happens, but they're on the right path right now.
And even Ole Kolzig said, like he pays attention to what goes on in Rochester because he's an alumni. You know, he played for Tri-City. He's very in touch with the AHL and what goes on here. He pays attention to all levels of hockey. It's just not the Washington Capitals. And he had a lot to say about both UPL and Devin Levi. I wouldn't say I was surprised, but I was surprised of how in depth he went.
He's a goalie's goalie. He's obviously very, very in tune with what's happening in Washington because he works for the team. But I think he generally pays attention to goaltending trends throughout the league and what's actually going on.
He flat out said he thinks Devin Levi is the guy for Buffalo in the future.
So. And I think everything in terms of his development path through juniors, through college, through the AHL would suggest that to be the case. If he doesn't pan out at the NHL level, it's not because he didn't take the right path given what they're doing now.
Yeah.
UPL is a different story. I mean, he did have a fair amount of NHL games, and it looked like at the end of last year that he potentially could be that consistent guy. Didn't prove it this year, and his future with the organization is now in jeopardy. It's a results-based business, and that should apply to the GM too.
Agreed. I couldn't agree with you more. And let's not get it twisted here. It's not like even though we have a small sample size of Devin Levi, it's not like all of it was bad. Not all of it was bad.
No,
like when he broke into the NHL, that run he went on, that was insane. He almost led this team to the playoffs. Yeah. And you could argue that had he started his career one game earlier or a couple games earlier, the Sabres end the playoff drought in 2022, 2023. You could argue that.
It could have been the 2017 version of the Bills, a year ahead of their actual rebuild.
Yeah.
And the pressure that would have taken off the entire organization would have been monumental. But it didn't happen. They lost that game to Florida. They lost that game to the Islanders. And they are where they are in a much worse position than they were 2 years ago today.
Agreed. Mike Sullivan fired. Mike Sullivan fired today. Obviously, a lot of local hockey podcasts, including got right into that and said, hire him now.
For what?
It's not going to happen.
For what?
Essentially, say get rid of Lindy, which I think would be ridiculous. I mean, how bad a PR would that be? Fire Lindy Ruff after
the only guy I would move Lindy. I wouldn't fire him. I would move him to president of hockey operations
or GM.
GM. But I would say he'd be better served in a hockey operations role because it's less pressure in terms of scouting and everything it takes to be an NHL GM. Our next NHL GM should have experience as an NHL GM.
Yes.
The only corresponding move I would do or guy that I would automatically say yes to hiring no matter what would be David Carl.
Yeah.
Denver's head coach.
I like David Carl a lot.
That would be the only guy.
What if John Cooper became available?
I mean, if you hire John Cooper.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, there is a risk because it would be a first-time NHL head coach. But similar to Devin Levi's development path, he's done everything that you possibly can to put himself in a position. He's going to get hired by somebody. I imagine the Penguins or the Canucks will hire him to be their head coach this offseason.
I think the Penguins let go of Mike Sullivan today because maybe they plan on bringing in Carla.
Yeah. So we're probably going to lose out on him. But it is what it is. He's a first-time head coach. There is risk involved. But he's the only guy that and obviously John Cooper, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think that you do Lindy for one more year. You get him new assistants. I guess you run back Kevyn Adams as GM, and then you see what happens. But yeah, I really hope they don't run it back from a lineup perspective. If they do, nobody's going to go to games. Same thing's going to happen.
Yeah.
We're going to be sitting here a year from today like, oh, like, what did you think was going to happen? And back to square one. So, yeah, we'll see. But I would like something to happen in the next week, but I will believe it when I see it.
I agree. It'd just be so cool to have a coach with a Stanley Cup ring and that much playoff pedigree. You know what I mean? Like, it would be so cool.
John Cooper, generally, I think he's one of the most well-spoken, best minds in hockey. You saw him after the Hagel hit yesterday from Aaron Ekblad, how fired up he was on the bench. They got 2 goals immediately. Of course, they eventually blew the lead later in the game. But his leadership on the bench, he obviously has the pedigree of coaching internationally, too, at the Four Nations. Obviously, that's not your prototypical NHL international tournament, but he seemed to have a pretty good control over that roster and eventually led them to victory in that tournament as well when they were down and out after the initial USA round robin loss. Yeah, John Cooper is, I would consider, a top 5 coach in the NHL. So I can't imagine, especially if they lose in the first round to the Panthers, there's no way they're going to get rid of him.
Listen, what's going on with Tampa right now? It's just they're getting older.
Yeah,
they're getting older. Like, if you really think about it, all the playoff runs and I've mentioned this before, all the playoff runs they've had, those equal almost
so many games.
Like, and the NHL offseason isn't nearly as long as like the NFL offseason.
And the Panthers too. In the next round, they're going to be beat up. They're going to be absolutely beat up.
You know, like, they've probably played more than a season's worth of playoff games.
Yeah,
over the course of the last 5 years.
And I think the people forget that the 2 cups they won were in the 2 COVID shortened seasons as well. So I think they benefited from not playing as many regular season games leading into those 2 Stanley Cup runs. Obviously, it's the same amount of playoff games that required to win the cup, and nobody's taking anything away from them. It's not the NBA bubble. It's not a Mickey Mouse championship. They won those 2 cups fair and square. But having the luxury of not playing as many regular season games leading into those 2 runs definitely helped them more than it hurt them. So say what you will, but John Cooper is not getting fired.
No, I don't think so at all. John Cooper is the kind of guy that, again, we mentioned before, you fire your head coach to hire John Cooper. Like,
100%.
Just, you know what I mean? Like, he's this era's.
There's only a few guys in the league you would do that for, and he's one of them.
John Cooper's one of them, no doubt about it. Like, back in the day when I was growing up, that guy was like Scotty Bowman. You fire your head coach, Scotty Bowman became available. Speaking of the NHL playoffs, I know you've been watching a lot. What series have you had a lot of fun watching?
I've been trying to. Like, it's tough, especially with my work schedule, and then I've also been pretty invested in the Clippers series. I'm a diehard Clippers fan once the playoffs come around, given the Buffalo connection. I also just love playoff NBA basketball. So I have been watching a lot of that. But given how absolutely entertaining it's been, I think the Oilers-Kings series has been by far the best. I know it's tough for those of you on the East Coast. It's a little bit easier for me out here, given they start at 7 p.m. But I think it's 2 overtime games. No, 1 overtime game, which was the last game. But so many comebacks, so many unbelievable plays. Obviously, Connor McDavid is trying to carry the Oilers on his back. And he's doing it. The fact that they were down 0-2 and they were able to come back and tie the series. It's back at home. The Kings are unbelievable at home. I think it's going to be a really, really good atmosphere there tonight. I considered going to that game just because how amazing of a series it's been. But the tickets are extremely expensive because everybody's so invested. I believe that's been the best series. Another really good game tonight, Wild and Golden Knights. I think the Wild have shown that they're not the same Wild team of the past. Getting Kaprizov back has obviously been huge. And Gustafsson has played really well, I think, against a much better top to bottom Vegas team. But I think that series could go either way. 2 interesting results tonight. The Senators up 1-0 on the Leafs, and the Devils up 3-1 on the Hurricanes. So I think a lot of people thought both of those series would be over tonight, and it seems like each underdog is not going quietly. So, yeah, I mean, it's been really good. Obviously, the Battle of Florida, there's been a lot of controversy. Canadiens Capitals is, 3-1, but it's been entertaining. Same with Panthers and Lightning, and then the last one. It pains my heart because I picked the Jets to win in my bracket, but
how about Hellebuck's numbers, man? They've been terrible.
The questions are going to continue about Hellebuck's in big moments until he proves it otherwise. He needs
kind of like Bobrovsky until he finally did it.
Yeah, Game 5 tomorrow night is the most important game of his career. I think he needs to have a regular season type Hellebuck performance. He single-handedly has won me my fantasy hockey championship the past 3 years because of how good he's been in the regular season. But his playoff numbers and even his international numbers have not been good. He was relatively good in the Four Nations tournament, but I think you and I both discussed in that championship game, there were goals he let in that were uncharacteristic of what we've seen from him. So I think that team's not good enough to win even this series without him at his best.
And, like that team was surprised with how good they were this year. I mean, me and you even talked about it. You know, all the controversy their offseason had. You know, who Rip. You know, the captaincy thing. You know, were they good enough? You know, you had guys like Kyle Connor's a really nice player. I love him. But we just remember us specifically talking about the Jets in the offseason.
It was surprising that they started 13-0.
Yeah.
And now they played the team that nobody wanted to play in the first round of the playoffs, the hottest team in the league, the Blues. Similar to 2019, they've gone on a historic run leading into the playoffs, and here they are again. They've won their last 14 home games. So, yeah, we'll see. I do think they end up pulling it out, and I expect a response from Hellebuck tomorrow night. He's too good of a goalie, but it does get mental. I think every goalie knows it, that if you do hear these voices in your head, that these saves that you normally would make or the luck that you normally get, some of these tips, some of these rebounds, some of these shots that are going past him, which aren't even necessarily his fault, they just end up going in, and the momentum eventually kills you and kills your team. So
how about the goals that went on Blackwood last night?
Another example. The one that went in over his head last night was really brutal. And I mean, it's a tough bounce, but you even saw himself like backing into the net like that.
Yeah. No idea where it was, and that's the first.
Know where it was. That was a last minute.
Heating up over there, bud.
Yeah, it's hot in here. But yeah, I mean, summers in LA are no joke.
I believe it.
So yeah, it's been interesting to say the least. Obviously, a couple of 2-2 series, a couple of 3-1s, but these 3-1 teams, I don't think they're going to go quietly. There was a lot of parity, especially in the East this year, but I do think that some are going to be a little bit closer than a lot of people thought.
Yeah, I agree. I'm in this Puck Luck Cup thing right now. It's sponsored by obviously Fatty Beer, as I mentioned before in our chat, and I'm going up actually against Nate Geary from WGR, and I started off hot. My first couple of nights of the playoffs, I took a lead, then lost 3 in a row, and then I won 3 in a row. We both lost last night. I forget. I think he took. I think he took an anytime goal scorer, and then the guy didn't score. I took Cal McCarr getting 1 assist. One plus assist. Didn't do it. But it's kind of like canceled each other out. And tonight I took. I hate doing this, and I've made a lot of my advice, I'll admit, because I know nothing about sports betting. A lot of my advice from my good friend Greg Day, Jr. over at Fatty Beer. Begrudgingly, and I'm discussing myself, I took Austin Matthews tonight as an anytime goal scorer. To try and break Nate Geary's back tonight and run away with this first round win.
I think he only has 1 goal in the playoffs so far.
He's due though.
If I'm not mistaken, yeah, he's got 1 goal, 4 assists. John Tavares and Matthew Nyes are leading the Leafs with 3 goals each. But yeah, he is due, and I think that's a good bet. Mitch Marner's 6 assists in 4 games. Gosh, love that guy on this team. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Down 1-0. Allmark seems to be on his game tonight, and I do think he's played pretty well this series. He, especially last game,
16 saves so far,
was unbelievable. So
yeah,
we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I picked the Leafs to go to the Cup, as much as it would be tough for me to see and my Canadian cousins to see them be happy. I do think this is the year, especially with how Stolarz has been playing. I think this is the year they could find.
Stolarz has been incredible.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody saw coming.
The combination of toughness, skill, goaltending, defense, I think they finally put together the team that could actually do it.
Tanev has been a huge for them too. So,
yeah.
I've enjoyed the Florida Tampa Bay series quite a bit. Obviously, it's tough to stay up for those late. I mean, I've liked the Colorado Stars game, the Star series. That one's been fun too. Nathan McKinnon just showing the world why he's one of the best players in the world.
He had a tough night last night.
He did. So Makar, they lose 5-2, 7. What was this?
6-2.
6-2. Okay. But I've enjoyed the Florida Tampa series a lot. That's prototypical first round hockey. Just the physical violent aggression out there every single game. Yeah. We saw Tom Wilson and Josh Anderson get into a fight on the bench, was just incredible.
Yeah.
That series has been fun to watch. Washington and Montreal, how they've kind of, him. How do you say his name? Zaitsev. Zaitsev, yeah. And Josh Anderson kind of teaming up, going Bash Brothers on Tom Wilson anytime they're on the ice with him.
That's what you got to do. It's what Anthony Edwards is doing to LeBron James in that series. So
yeah,
you gotta be physical with these guys to get them off their game. Where were you gonna say?
Well, the last thing I want to touch on too, unless you have something else to say too, is obviously I mentioned in the header of the episode, like kind of Buffalo sports media. Obviously, there was a lot of controversy yesterday. Again, not Sabres related, but Bills related. We mentioned earlier with Brandon Beane, what went down with him, and his first time he talked in the media in a while, in terms of, at least not media, but with WGR in a while. I guess he heard a few minutes. According to GR, he was not on hold when he heard this. He was just listening to the show. He wasn't backstage, as everyone presumed he was, which, I mean, it's easy to presume that. But he heard some wide receiver talk, or 2 minutes thereof, and he came in really hot. And I thought, and he got pretty vulgar.
And that's also probably related to that. He does have a burner account on Twitter, and he absolutely saw the entire fan base wondering why. And also, not even that, beat reporters being like, they finally took a receiver in the 7th round.
Yeah. Listen.
It wasn't just GR.
No, it
wasn't. Pissed him off, clearly.
It wasn't. And I thought, personally, just, to get to the actual point of this, I thought it was absolutely ridiculous that he compared this whole thing to 2018 Allen versus Rosen.
That was a bad
the meltdown this city had, myself included.
That was a bad
There is no comparison.
Yeah.
None whatsoever.
Not comparison, but I think he was just trying to point to an example of success that his resume has had. Not just success, the success.
Yeah.
The reason that you still have a job is because Josh Allen worked.
Yes. No doubt about it.
That is the reason. And you get the credit for trading Stephon Diggs. You get the credit for bringing in John Brown and Cole Beasley and surrounding him with talent. You get all that credit because it worked.
Mm-hmm.
But if it didn't work, you would
not have a job right now.
Office. Yeah, you would be an assistant GM somewhere.
Yes, exactly. And to make another point too, like, outside of the fact that he traded first round capital for Stephon Diggs, he's only invested in the receiving group 2 times since then. One was Dalton Kincaid, which I'm pretty sure he traded up to get him. Did he trade up? I think he traded up.
Yeah.
Draft a tight end a year removed from signing Dawson Knox to a huge deal.
Yeah, in the draft. In free agency and trades, they have done a variety of different things.
I'm talking in terms of the draft.
Yeah.
And then the trading back. The Dalton Kincaid thing is certainly justifiable. You can criticize that. And then obviously trading back into the 2nd round and passing up on guys like Ladd McConkey and Xavier Worthy, which you can say that about any draft. But guess what? I mean, realistically, Coleman disappeared in the playoffs. He was non-existent in the second half of the season. Granted, he was hurt.
He did have an injury, but yeah.
Yes, yeah. But who would you have rather had in the playoffs for the Buffalo Bills? Would you rather have Xavier Worthy or Ladd McConkey or Keon Coleman?
The Xavier Worthy discussion, it is what it is. Like
it is. I'm not bitching about it. It is what it is. Exactly. You can say that literally about every single pick of every single draft.
So
a player that didn't work out.
I have 2 things on this. I think that he clearly saw what the discussion was, not only online, but he even mentioned that a couple of reporters asked him in his final draft press conference, like, oh, like did you think about taking a receiver earlier? Like you obviously took Caden Prather in the 7th round, but he's a 6'4". Like he seems like a backup to Keon Coleman. He provides a skill set that's already on the roster. Like did you think about taking a popular guy was Jalen Royals in the 4th round, who seemed to have some separation, some speed, who ended up going to the Chiefs, of course, because of course he did. So he clearly saw the chatter and he was already pissed off. And then he heard Jeremy and Joe talk about it for 3 minutes or so before going on. And he cherry picked their comments to let out his frustration that was clearly building over 3 or 4 days. And if I'm him and I'm seeing all of Western New York tell me that I'm not doing my job when the team has had as much success as it's had in recent years, I would be pissed off too. But you don't go on a local radio station and I mean, I don't care about the profanity. It is what it is. I actually enjoyed that part of it.
Well, everybody did, yeah.
Yeah, you don't say those things and react that way and cherry pick their argument to let out your frustration when you haven't accomplished what you've set out to do. Yes, you've won 5 straight division championships. Yes, you had 8 straight games scoring 30 points last season. Yes, you are one of the better teams in the AFC, largely because you got the quarterback right.
Who's a superhuman.
But lest you forget, 3 months ago, we all had this same feeling of losing to the Chiefs for the 4th time in 5th years in the playoffs and not accomplishing what you've set out to do every single season. You have not gotten to the mountaintop. You haven't even had the opportunity to win at the mountaintop. So for you to ask us to kiss the ground you walk on for scoring 30 points a game for 8 plus games in last season, while now actually getting past the team that you've tried to replicate for 5-6 years now, is asinine. Absolutely asinine to act that way. And every single Bills content creator and reporter and fan kissing his feet for going on WGR and acting this way is insane to me. They have not accomplished anything. Anything.
No. Listen. I tweeted out something similar yesterday. I took the audio clip, I put it out, and I said, I ended up deleting the tweet because I actually got 4 DMs, one of which I shared on Twitter. I'm like, I'm just not trying to have that type of attention brought to my account and have to read that kind of stuff. So I ended up deleting it, which I normally don't delete tweets. Anyways, like I had like just the amount of defenders to Bean. I'm just like,
no, it's really related to people benefiting from the Bills being good, right?
Yeah.
And they don't care that we consistently don't get it done in the playoffs because
you've won nothing.
Yeah, that's bad. I mean, believe me, I like what he did in the draft. The 2 weakest areas of the team in terms of depth, in terms of future contracts, the defensive line and the secondary shorted up. But drafting 3 cornerbacks and not a receiver until the 7th round that may not even make the team and doesn't provide a skill set that's different than what you are.
To make people happy. Hoping to make people happy.
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't make sense to me because Jordan Hancock, you draft him. I think Dorian Strong's going to make the team. He could be the next Christian Benford. I think Max Hairston probably is going to be the starter this year. Who knows if he's going to be the next Kyer Elam or not. But you draft a 3rd cornerback, and I get that's where your board fell. But to not get something, which, you've got 4 receivers. It could be your wide receiver 5. At least differentiate the skill set. Get you a guy with speed that can stretch the field. I am not an NFL GM, but I'm not the only one that's saying this. Joe Buscaglia, who I think does the best possible work of any Bills reporter
love Joe.
That covers the team, he mock drafted Jalen Royals to the Bills in the 4th or 5th round 7 or 8 times throughout the
process. Where does he go?
In the 4th round. In the 4th round. Yeah. So I'm not saying we know better than him. But he has to understand why people are frustrated.
Yeah.
If they had won the Super Bowl last year, he wouldn't have heard any of this.
No, nothing. Nobody would have given a shit. We'd still be celebrating.
It would be
celebrating.
It would be Howie Roseman and Eagles fans. Like Howie did it again. Brandon Beane did it again. And there's a certain faction of the Bills population that's like, oh, Brandon Beane did it again. Well, has he really? Because they haven't yet. And they haven't gotten it done. And it's pretty fun to play in AFC championship games and AFC divisional games and win 13 games in the regular season and win AFC's championships. But at the end of the day, we're at this point in the organization where if you're always going to be the bridesmaid and you're wasting Josh Allen's prime of his career and he's going to be 30 soon and he's not going to have the physical gifts that he once had and you're not going to get this version of him that scores 30 points per game, and the offensive line isn't going to stay healthy for 2 straight seasons, what are you going to say then, Brandon? What are you going to say then? So I don't know, man. I thought that he had a good point, but the way that he handled it was extremely unprofessional and immature.
And listen, like, we're not here to nail Brandon Beane to the cross. Nobody is.
He's been a great GM.
Yes, but you've won nothing. You haven't accomplished the goal, and you have you've left yourself open to criticism by not investing enough to put more weapons around Josh Allen.
And if Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid have great seasons, then
we all shut up.
Exactly. But they haven't yet.
But you better hope that Josh Allen is a superhuman again this year, because
you better hope that Curtis Samuel replicates his performance in the final 2 games of the regular season playoffs.
I agree.
And Josh Palmer, great addition, but
again, if he was he's a good player, but if he was a difference maker, then San Diego, Elliott would have kept him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's you're taking guys that couldn't find a place on their current team, their previous team, and hoping that with Josh Allen he makes them into stars. And
he did do that last year. He was the MVP of the league. He elevated the group around him, and which you want
from him.
Which you hope from guys like, honestly, from Darlene and Tage too, given their level of superstardom. And I do think they did that while they were healthy and at their best this year. But at the end of the day, he can only do so much. And if he tries to do more than he's able to do, he's going to go into superhero mode. And when Josh goes into superhero mode, guess what happens?
We've seen it.
He gets hurt.
And we've luckily been able.
He broke his left wrist in the first game of the regular season because the offense scored 0 points against the Arizona Cardinals.
Yes. Yes.
And then he played the first 7 games of the regular season, which you eventually had to trade for a wide receiver and give up a 3rd-round pick, with a broken wrist because he wanted superhero mode because the offense wasn't good enough.
Given all that, I just don't like putting all my eggs in the please Josh Allen be a superhero, be superhuman, be superhuman for us the second year in a row.
Khalil Shakir is a top 5 slot receiver in the NFL,
no doubt about it.
Keon Coleman, at his best, he could be a very good red zone target. He will never be Mike Evans. No. Dalton Kincaid is not going to be Travis Kelce. Nope. Curtis Samuel is not going to be even Jackson Smith and Jigba. You're asking Josh Allen to have a better season than he did last season, and people still thought he wasn't deserving of the MVP.
I know, even though clearly he was. I'll make this point short because this is the whole point of this conversation. Obviously, me and you, we're not credentialed media members, but we're in media.
I've watched more Bills football than I've watched Sabres hockey in my life.
I don't blame you. Here's the thing. If we as media, whether we're podcasters or, we're actually credentialed media, you should be able to criticize and ask questions without having that type of a blowback. And as a GM, you need to hold yourself to a higher standard than you even expect of your players. And I'm certainly would assume that you wouldn't expect your players to react to the media like that. You as a GM would have a conversation with James Cook if James Cook reacted like that to a question he didn't like.
James Cook doesn't like speaking enough to do that.
Yeah, but I'm
with you. I will say, just last thing on this, I thought Jeremy White handled himself really well. And in the midst of, like he said, being belittled by the GM live on air, he made a really, really good point, unrelated to what Bean was talking about investing in draft capital so you could have the flexibility of rookie contracts and 5th-year options of guys that you draft that way. The Chiefs have done it. The Ravens have done it. Everybody has done it. So
would you rather pay a guy like Jamar Chase on a rookie deal for 3 to 4 years, or have to invest more money on a rookie deal into a defensive position where you could just go out? I would rather pay that money in free agency to the defensive player rather. But again, I am happy with the draft. Don't get twisted. I am we fixed a lot of issues, hopefully.
But if in January, let's say they do something that they haven't done yet, get the 1 seed, get home field playoff advantage, host the AFC Championship either against the Ravens or the Chiefs, and the defense falls over again, what are you going to say next offseason?
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. Just
What's that end of the year press conference going to be like? Maybe we should have in the offense scores 35 points and they lose 40-30. Maybe we should have surrounded Josh Allen with more talent. I don't know, because if you can't beat them, outscore them, and they haven't done that yet.
I don't like a world for us where you have guys like Brandon B. Like Kevyn Adams has faced so much more heat and the fans are chanting "Fire Kevyn" at games while he's there. Like he's in the building, sitting there, just staring down at the crowd, not in a suite or. You know what I mean? Granted, yes, Breen has given him so much more leash, but like I'm not comparing the two GMs because there is no comparison. But like Kevin's never had an outburst like that. Like, yeah, you had the palm trees comment, but like he's held himself to a higher standard, even though he shouldn't have a job.
Yeah.
Like, and he's always treated the media with respect,
for sure,
and vice versa to an extent.
Not to make it political, but it felt very like, if you don't agree with me, then I'm not going to have you on the airwaves. It felt a tiny bit fascist to me.
I made that point earlier too. Like, imagine if, again, not to get political, we've seen it before. Our current president doesn't like a question from the media, and he kicks him out of the media for future gatherings. The way out, like, we blow up on him because that's not right.
There was a little bit of fascism involved.
Yeah, there was. And like even on McAfee today, like he was definitely taking shots still. He was definitely 1,000% still taking shots at them.
Yeah, and all of the softball questions.
Oh my God, yeah.
Those are toys, but yeah.
And then bailing and trying to lean into, oh well, we have to pay Josh Allen, so we have to make, we have to
I mean, I will say this, like he would have silenced absolutely everybody if he had just drafted Jalen Royals in the 4th round.
Yep, no doubt about it.
Everybody. But he didn't, and here we are. So I guess we'll see. If they sign Elijah Moore, if they I even saw Joe Biscali's article about bringing in Tyler Boyd, Robert Woods, another presence.
I want Robert Woods back. I'm good.
No, either way, it's more so just bringing in like some type of presence that can give you a baseline, right? Because currently the 5th receiver is Laviska Shenault, who may be your kick returner and punt returner. And then, Tatum Prather makes the team great. Tyrell Shavers. I don't know. This isn't a Bills show, but this is a Buffalo show. So therefore,
I just wanted to make a point on Buffalo media and how important it is for us to be able to be critical and for us to be able to ask real questions, justified questions, and not have to deal with that type of response.
Jeremy's been banging the wide receiver jump for a few years, and I get it from Bean's perspective. He hears things, he sees things, and it's probably frustrating given all of the success last year. But you can have all that success without actually beating the team that matters, and I guess none of that regular season success matters, right?
Yeah, agreed. So just remember, it is brought to you by Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room with over 300 beers to choose from at 6 different Western New York locations. If you need a beer, make sure you make it a Fatty Beer, and maybe try their FEI Mango Wheat, my favorite selection on their beer menu.
4-4 Hurricanes Devils. Go watch that.
4-4, yes. Go watch that. If you enjoyed our content, please make sure you follow and subscribe. You can find our handles right there on the screen on Twitter, or now X, Facebook, and Instagram as well. You can find us audio only on audio like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your audio podcasts. Just search out 2 Goalies, 1 Mic. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the little bell icon, subscribe so you get notified when we go live, and hammer that like button. Appreciate all the support. So I am Duane from 2 Goalies, 1 Mic. We will talk to you, normally on Tuesdays now, unless something big happens, then we'll talk to you then. But if not, we'll talk to you next Tuesday. Or actually, no. Actually, we may start doing Connor already dipped out. We might start doing some Rochester coverage too, so maybe post games. I'll keep you guys updated on that. With that said, you guys have a fantastic evening, and as always, go Sabres.